All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into something that might just completely change how you think about the power of thought.
We're talking Lynn McTaggart's The Power of Eight
It's all about harnessing the energy of group intention
for healing.
to transformation.
And let me tell you, the stories in this book are wild.
They really are.
What's so fascinating is that McTaggart, you know, she doesn't just present this as some mystical idea. She was an investigative journalist, a skeptic by nature. She'd even written The Field, exploring this idea of interconnectedness.
Right.
But even she needed solid proof.
So she wasn't just going to jump on the woo-woo bandwagon without some serious evidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then she started holding these workshops where groups of 8 people would focus their intention on healing someone in the group.
Okay, so why 8? Is there something special about that number?
Well, that's a question that McTaggart explores in the book. It seems that 8 people create a kind of energetic threshold, a critical mass where intention becomes amplified.
I see.
It's like the difference between a solo voice and a full choir.
Oh, okay.
There's a synergy that emerges when you have that many voices coming together.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So what kind of results are we talking about here? I mean, were people experiencing like slight improvements, or was it more significant than that?
No, we're talking about people with chronic conditions seeing major shifts.
Wow.
Sometimes even instant relief.
Okay.
There's a story of Don Barry who had frozen shoulder.
Right.
After one session, he felt this incredible release in his chest.
Wow.
Like his body was waking up.
That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, frozen shoulder just like vanishing like that. Is there a scientific explanation for how that's even possible?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
While we don't fully understand the mechanisms,
Right.
the book does point to some pretty fascinating research that suggests that intention might operate outside our normal understanding of time and space.
Okay, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What kind of research are we talking about here?
So McTaggart teamed up with Dr. Gary Schwartz,
Okay.
a respected scientist at the University of Arizona, to bring some scientific rigor to these experiments.
I see.
One of their first studies involved a geranium leaf.
A geranium leaf.
Uh-huh. They used a webcam to measure the leaf's biophoton emissions,
Okay.
basically a subtle glow, and had a group send intention to lower that glow.
So they were measuring the plant's energy and trying to influence it with thought alone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, what happened?
Well, the leaf's glow did change.
Okay.
But here's the kicker.
Okay.
The changes started happening before the group even began focusing their intention.
Wait, so the leaf was responding before the thought was even consciously sent?
Yeah,
That's wild.
it is wild.
What does that tell us about how intention might work?
Well, it really challenges our linear way of thinking. Maybe intention isn't like sending an email where there's a clear sender and receiver.
Right.
It might be tapping into a field of interconnectedness where time and space aren't as rigid as we perceive them to be.
Okay, my mind is officially bending a little bit.
Yeah.
So if intention can influence a single leaf, did they try to scale things up?
They did.
Oh.
They actually set their sights on something incredibly ambitious,
Okay.
trying to reduce violence in a war zone.
A war zone?
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge leap from a geranium leaf.
It is.
How did they even begin to measure the impact of intention on something as complex as a civil war?
It was a bold undertaking, and the results were complex, to say the least.
Right.
They partnered with an organization that tracked casualties in Sri Lanka and had access to reliable data. They then invited people from all over the world to participate in this experiment for 8 days.
8 days.
Focusing their intention on peace in the region.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. Did they succeed in bringing peace to Sri Lanka?
Well, it wasn't that straightforward.
Yeah.
The week of the experiment actually saw a spike in violence.
Really?
Which was initially discouraging.
Yeah.
But in the weeks that followed, the violence dropped significantly, even more than statistical models had predicted.
So a surge and then a dramatic decrease.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Did McTaggart conclude that the intention had like a delayed effect? Or was it just coincidence?
It's impossible to say for sure, and McTaggart acknowledges that.
Okay.
But what they did discover, and this ties back to the power of 8, is that many participants reported profound shifts in consciousness during the experiment.
Shifts in consciousness. What do you mean by that?
They described feeling an overwhelming sense of unity,
Okay.
interconnectedness, even transcendence.
Wow.
Like their individual consciousness was merging into something much larger.
So even if the impact on the war zone was inconclusive, it sounds like the experiment had a powerful effect on the participants themselves.
It did.
Did those altered states offer any clues about how the power of 8 might work?
That's what McTaggart explores throughout the book.
Okay.
It seems that when 8 people come together with this focused intention,
Yeah.
they tap into a field of consciousness that's more powerful than the sum of its parts.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
Yeah?
It's not just about willpower
Right.
or positive thinking.
Yeah.
It's about accessing a deeper level of awareness,
Exactly.
a collective consciousness that can influence reality.
Yeah, and one of the most compelling pieces of evidence for this comes from a study that McTaggart conducted with Life University.
Life University, okay.
Yeah, okay.
A chiropractic college.
A chiropractic college studying intention.
Yeah.
Okay, this is fascinating.
Well,
What did they do?
they used EEG technology to measure the brainwave activity of people participating in a Power of 8 session.
They observed a decrease in beta brainwave activity, which is associated with our normal waking state,
Right.
and an increase in alpha and theta brainwave activity.
So they were seeing changes in the brain that correlated with these altered states of consciousness.
Precisely.
Mm.
And what's interesting is that alpha and theta brainwaves are often associated with states of relaxation,
Okay.
meditation, and deep inner peace.
So it's like the participants were entering a trance-like state
Yeah,
simply by focusing their intention on healing someone else.
exactly.
That's amazing.
And this shift in brainwave activity might be a key to understanding how intention can have such a powerful impact. It suggests that by calming our minds and connecting to something larger than ourselves,
Right.
we tap into a field of infinite possibilities.
This is definitely making me rethink the power of thought.
Uh-huh.
So we've talked about these altered states, but what about the actual healing experiences? Can you share some more examples from the book that really illustrate how the power of 8 can lead to physical and emotional transformation?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
The book is full of incredible stories.
Yep.
There's one about Marcia,
Yeah.
who had a cataract-like condition affecting her vision after a Power of 8 session.
Yeah.
She reported that her sight had dramatically improved.
Wow.
She was amazed by the sudden clarity she experienced.
That's incredible. So intention was somehow influencing a physical condition that modern medicine often struggles to treat.
Yeah.
Are there other examples where the power of 8 led to such significant healing?
There are many.
Okay.
For example, there's a story about a woman named Sarah
Okay.
who had been suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome for years.
Oh, wow.
After joining a Power of 8 group,
Yeah.
she experienced a gradual but significant increase in her energy levels. She was able to engage in activities she'd given up on, like hiking and gardening.
Wow. So not only physical healing, but a restoration of vitality and the ability to enjoy life again.
Exactly.
It's like the power of 8 was rewiring her energy system.
That's a great way to put it. And these stories aren't isolated incidents.
Right.
McTaggart collected data from hundreds of Power of 8 groups, and the results consistently pointed to the transformative potential of group intention.
This is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, even with all the evidence and anecdotes, there's still a part of me that's wondering, like, how does it all work?
Right.
What's the connection between our thoughts and the physical world?
Right.
Is there any scientific explanation for how intention can have this kind of impact?
That's the big question, and one that science is still grappling with. McTaggart doesn't claim to have all the answers, but she does offer some compelling theories, drawing on cutting-edge research in quantum physics, bioenergetics, and consciousness studies.
Okay, so we might not have all the pieces of the puzzle yet.
Right.
But the evidence suggests that something profound is happening when we come together with this focused intention. And it seems like the power of 8 provides a framework for tapping into that power.
Yeah.
And unlocking our potential for healing and transformation.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling inspired to learn more about the practical side of this.
Okay.
But before we dive into that, I think we need to take a little pause.
Yeah.
And let our listeners process all this incredible information.
Okay.
We'll be back soon with more from the Power of 8.
Sounds good. Welcome back.
So, one of the things I find most fascinating about this book is how it connects the power of 8 to this idea of, like, A collective consciousness, almost like we're all part of this giant invisible network.
Yeah, that really resonated with me, too.
Yeah.
It's like McTaggart saying that our individual thoughts and intentions aren't just isolated events happening inside our own heads.
Right.
They're ripples in this larger pond of awareness.
Right.
And when we come together in groups of 8, those ripples become waves.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, what are the implications of that?
Right.
If we're all connected at this deeper level, what responsibility do we have to each other?
That's a really profound question. It's like McTaggart is challenging us to think about how we're using our thoughts and intentions.
Right.
Are we contributing to the well-being of the collective?
Yeah.
Or are we adding to the negativity and chaos?
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder if we could harness this power of 8 for more than just personal healing. What if we could use it to address larger societal issues like conflict, poverty, or environmental degradation?
I mean, those are some big, hairy problems.
They are.
But hey, if intention can influence a geranium leaf,
right,
and possibly even a war zone,
exactly,
who's to say what's possible?
Exactly. It's like McTaggart is saying that we have this untapped potential, this collective power that we're only just beginning to understand.
Right.
And the power of 8 might be a key to unlocking that potential.
Okay, so we've talked about the science behind this, but what about the practical side?
Okay.
I'm sure her listeners are wondering, like, how can they actually start applying these principles in their own lives?
Well, the first step is forming a power of 8 group.
Okay.
It can be as simple as gathering a group of friends, family members, or even colleagues who are open to exploring this together.
So you don't need to be a seasoned meditator or energy healer.
Not at all.
To participate.
The most important thing is to find people who are willing to come together with a shared intention and a commitment to supporting each other's growth and well-being.
Okay. And what about the actual intention-setting process? Are there any guidelines or tips that McTaggart suggests for, like, making our intentions more effective?
One of the key things she emphasizes is the importance of clarity and precision. Instead of vague statements like, I want to be happy.
Right.
She encourages us to be specific about what we want to manifest.
Okay.
For example, I intend to feel joyful and fulfilled in my work.
So it's about painting a clear picture of the desired outcome.
Yes.
Leaving no room for ambiguity. Almost like writing a detailed order to the universe.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And she also talks about the importance of using positive language.
Okay.
Focusing on what we want to create rather than what we want to avoid.
Right.
So instead of saying, I don't want to be sick, we'd say, I intend to be healthy and vibrant.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like we're aligning our energy with the positive outcome.
Exactly.
Rather than giving power to the negative. But I have to admit, for someone who's new to this, the whole idea of setting intentions and expecting them to manifest can feel a little out there.
I understand.
What would you say to someone who's skeptical?
I'd say don't knock it till you try it.
Okay.
McTaggart isn't asking us to blindly believe. She encourages us to experiment, to gather a group, set an intention, and see what happens.
So it's about approaching it with an open mind, but also with a healthy dose of discernment.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you're feeling hesitant, you can always start with something small, something that feels manageable.
Yeah.
Maybe try setting an intention to find a parking spot easily.
Okay.
Or to have a productive day at work.
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
It's like starting with a little intention workout before moving on to the bigger stuff.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become with the process. And who knows?
Yeah.
You might even start seeing some amazing results.
All right. So we've formed our group.
Okay.
We've set our intentions.
Yeah.
Now what?
Okay.
What actually happens during a Power of 8 session?
The book provides some guidelines for conducting sessions.
Okay.
But it emphasizes that there's no one right way to do it.
Right.
Each group can create their own rituals and practices.
So there's room for creativity.
Yes.
And personalization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are some common elements of a session?
Yeah.
Most groups start by creating a sacred space, a place where they feel comfortable and focused.
Okay.
This could involve lighting candles, playing soothing music, or simply sitting in a circle.
So it's about setting the mood, creating an atmosphere of reverence and intention.
Exactly. Then the group would typically spend a few moments centering themselves, perhaps with a guided meditation or some deep breaths.
Right.
Once everyone is feeling grounded and connected,
Yeah.
they would focus their attention on the chosen intention,
Okay.
either silently
Mm-hmm.
or by reciting it aloud.
And what about visualization? Not the part of the process?
Yes, visualization is a powerful technique that can help to amplify the intention.
Okay.
McTaggart suggests creating a vivid mental image of the desired outcome
Okay.
as if it's already happening.
So we're talking about engaging all of our senses, really feeling into the experience of the intention being fulfilled.
Exactly. And the more real we can make it feel in our minds and hearts,
Yeah.
the more powerful the intention becomes.
Okay, so we visualize the outcome.
Okay.
Now what?
Okay.
Do we just sit there and hope for the best?
McTaggart emphasizes the importance of surrendering to the process, trusting that the universe will take care of the details.
So it's not about micromanaging
Right.
or trying to force things to happen.
Exactly.
It's about letting go and allowing the intention to work its magic.
And that can be the most challenging part.
Yeah, I can see how that would be tricky. It's like we have to find that sweet spot between holding the intention with clarity and focus, but also being willing to release it
Right.
and trust the universe to deliver.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like planting a seed and then having the faith that it will grow into a beautiful flower.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the power of 8. It's really become clear that McTaggart isn't just asking us to take her word for it. You know?
No, not at all.
She's actually backing up these incredible stories with some pretty compelling scientific research.
Absolutely. We've already touched on the EEG study with Life University, where they observed shifts in brainwave activity during Power of 8 sessions.
Right.
Participants showed a decrease in beta waves, which are associated with our normal waking state, and an increase in alpha and theta waves.
Right. Those brainwave patterns are more commonly seen in, experienced meditators.
Exactly.
Which suggests that the participants were entering a kind of altered state of consciousness just by focusing their intention on healing someone else.
Exactly, and that's just one example. McTaggart also highlights research done by Dr. Konstantin Korotkov, who developed a technology called gas discharge visualization, or GDV, which measures energy fields.
Ah, yes, the aura stuff. I remember reading about that. How did they apply GDV to intention experiments?
They found that focused intention could actually influence the light emissions of water samples. They used GDV to measure these subtle energy fields and saw significant changes in the readings when people directed their intention towards the water.
Hold on, you're saying that you can change the way water glows with your thoughts?
That's what the research suggests.
Wow.
It seems that intention can affect the structure of water molecules at a subtle energetic level.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
It's pretty amazing.
So we're seeing evidence that intention can influence not just living things, but even something as seemingly simple as water. Right. Are there other studies that support this idea that intention can have a measurable impact on the physical world?
There are.
Okay.
McTaggart also delves into research on biophoton emissions.
Biophoton emissions? Yeah. It's like a subtle energetic signature.
Yes.
How do those tie into intention?
Studies have shown that focused intention can actually influence these biophoton emissions. For example, in one experiment, people were able to increase the light emitted by algae simply by directing their intention towards it.
So we're talking about measurable changes in energy,
yes,
not just subjective experiences or anecdotal reports.
Exactly. And this is one of the things that makes McTaggart's work so compelling. She's not just relying on anecdotal evidence or mystical claims. She's drawing on scientific research to support her findings, bridging the gap between science and spirituality.
It's like she's taking these ancient wisdom traditions, things that have been considered mystical or supernatural for centuries.
Exactly.
And putting them under the microscope of modern science.
That's a great way to put it.
And the results are pretty astounding.
They are.
It seems that what was once relegated to the realm of the esoteric is now being validated by scientific inquiry.
I agree.
You know, one of the things that I find most intriguing about this book is how it challenges our conventional notions of time and space. We tend to think of those things as fixed and linear. But the research on intention suggests that maybe there's more to the story.
Remember that geranium leaf experiment we talked about earlier?
Right.
The fact that the leaves started responding before the group even focused their intention really throws a wrench into our linear understanding of cause and effect.
It's almost as if the intention was operating outside of time, as if the future was somehow influencing the present.
Exactly. And McTaggart explores some pretty mind-bending theories about how this might be possible, drawing on concepts from quantum physics, like non-locality and entanglement.
So we're talking about the idea that everything is interconnected at a deeper level.
Yes.
Beyond the limitations of time and space as we normally perceive them.
That's the implication.
And it suggests that we might have a far greater influence on reality than we realize. Our thoughts, our intentions.
Yeah.
They're not just isolated events happening inside our heads.
Right.
They're ripples in this vast ocean of consciousness. They can have far-reaching effects.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've talked about the science and the mind-bending implications. But what about the actual experiences of people who have used the power of 8?
Okay.
Can we delve into some of those stories of healing and transformation?
Definitely. The book is full of incredible anecdotes.
Okay.
There's one about a woman named Susan who had been struggling with infertility for years.
Wow.
After joining a Power of 8 group.
Yeah.
She became pregnant and gave birth to a healthy baby.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's almost like the group's intention was able to shift something at a very deep level.
Right.
Something that medical intervention hadn't been able to address.
Exactly. And it speaks to the power of belief and collective intention.
Right.
When those 8 people came together with the shared belief that Susan could conceive, it seems that they created a powerful, energetic field that supported her body's natural healing ability.
That's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Are there other examples of people using the power of 8 for physical healing?
There are many.
Okay.
For example, there's a story about a man named David who had been diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Oh, wow.
His doctors had given him only a few months to live.
Oh, gosh.
But David wasn't ready to give up. He formed a Power of 8 group.
Okay.
And they began focusing their intention on his healing.
So they were going up against some pretty heavy odds.
They were.
What happened?
Against all expectations, David's condition began to improve. His tumor started shrinking.
Wow.
And his energy levels increased.
Really?
He went into remission and lived for several years beyond what the doctors had predicted.
That's incredible. It's like the power of 8 gave him a second chance, a new lease on life.
It's a testament to the power of hope, belief, and collective intention.
Right.
And it highlights the fact that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, we always have the power to choose how we respond.
So it's not about denying the reality of the situation, but rather about empowering ourselves to create a different outcome.
Exactly.
Even when the odds are stacked against us.
And it's not just about physical healing.
Okay.
The book also shares stories of people using the power of 8 to overcome emotional challenges, like anxiety, depression, and even trauma.
Right. It makes sense that if intention can influence our physical bodies, it can also have an impact on our mental and emotional states.
Absolutely. And McTaggart emphasizes that the power of 8 is a holistic approach, addressing the whole person, body, mind, and spirit.
You know, as we've been talking about these incredible stories, I've been thinking about the potential applications of the power of 8 beyond personal healing.
Right.
What if we could harness this power to address larger social issues like conflict resolution or environmental sustainability?
That's a really exciting prospect.
Yeah.
McTaggart actually touches on this in the book.
Okay.
Sharing examples of groups that have used the power of 8 to try to bring peace to conflict zones or to clean up polluted areas.
So it's like we could create a global network of intention.
Right.
A collective force for good that could address some of the most pressing challenges facing humanity.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most inspiring messages of this book, that we're not powerless in the face of these challenges. We have the ability to come together, to amplify our intentions through the power of 8, and to create a better world for ourselves and for generations to come.
Okay. I'm feeling so inspired by this.
I am too.
It's like McTaggart is giving us a glimpse into a future.
Yeah.
Where we're no longer just passive observers of the world, but active participants in shaping its destiny.
That's the beauty of it.
It really is.
The Power of Eight is more than just a self-help book. It's a call to action, an invitation to step into our power as conscious creators, and co-create a reality that reflects our highest aspirations.
Well, folks, we've reached the end of our deep dive into The Power of Eight, and I have to say, my mind is buzzing with possibilities.
Mine too.
This book has really challenged my assumptions about the nature of reality and the power of human intention.
It's been an incredible journey exploring this with you.
It really has.
What resonated most with you?
Honestly, there were so many. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is this realization that we're not alone. We have this power to connect with each other. To amplify our intentions. Through the Power of Eight. And to create a world that is more loving, peaceful, and just...
That's the heart of it.
It really is.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness and harnessing the power of collective intention to create a brighter future for all.
So if you're feeling inspired to explore the Power of Eight, gather a group of like-minded friends or even connect with others online and see what magic you can create together.
Exactly.
Who knows? You might just change the world.
You might.
And remember, the most important ingredient is belief.
Yes.
Believe in the power of intention. Believe in the power of connection. And most importantly, believe in your own ability to make a positive difference.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We'll leave you with that thought.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Power of Eight. It's been a pleasure.
Go forth and intend with purpose.